It's been quite a while since I've actually reviewed a show that was this long. I mean, NXT is like an hour. This was a long show. So I gotta start the video by saying, bear with me, alright? Let's get through this. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your review for the WWE's NXT/UK Championship Tournament 2-day special review thing. Told you guys I wasn't going to review the first night because the first night was just a all-in-one night tournament, and as much as I do like tournaments, the whole what they did last year with it all basically taking place in one day is kind of a jacked up way to present it, in my personal opinion, as far as coming up here and reviewing it and talking to you about what I actually think of some of these guys, etc. The first Mae Young Classic got it best, or no, it wasn't the Mae Young Classic, it was the Cruiserweight Classic, where they gave you an episode a week. It was 1 or 2 matches. You could get it in nice little bite-sized things. I didn't want to do the tournament because it was, like I say, it was all jacked together. So I did watch the tournament. Bunch of guys that I don't really know. I mean, Jack Gallagher was in there, and I mean, a couple other people, a couple repeats from last year. It was good. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of guys, you know, the British strong style thing is just people in there beating the ever-loving fuck out of each other, which is a lot of fun. A guy named Zach Gibson that I don't really have any idea about, other than he's Liverpool's #1, and that's his gimmick. And apparently you guys over there across the pond, which I'm only going to use once, don't like him that much. He's a heel, and Pete Dunne, now being babyface, that kind of works. I mean, look at the tournament the first time around, and Pete Dunne was the one going around the tournament pissing everybody off, and obviously putting the shine on Tyler Bate, which was really, really good. Obviously, we got Triple H and Johnny Saint out there making the announcement of the NXT UK brand, which I'm really, really excited. They didn't get very specific about it. I think they were purposely very vague about it, only because there was no announcement of, like, you know, they started announcing when it's going to be happening over there. I'm not going to say across the pond again. But they didn't say anything about a show schedule, like, hey, it's going to be every Thursday, or it's going to be every other Friday, or, you know, you can catch the repeat, or, you know, you can catch it on demand or whatever. If it is a weekly show, or anything resembling a weekly show, I will be reviewing it. I know my buddy Salvador Salcido is doing me new graphics, new opening graphics for that, if and when that is the case, along with stuff for the Mae Young Classic Round 2. Which is really, really good. Johnny Saint is apparently a legend over there in the UK, you guys know. Other than Destiny, currently, where Pete Dunne is also a champion, I still stick pretty much to WWE specific stuff. I mean, there was that dark period of my life where I watched Impact, and I've given ROH a chance more than once, and I really don't care for it whatsoever. But if anybody from the UK specifically, my buddy James, I'm looking at you, Fear the Spear 1990, I know you're still watching me, throw it down in the box below. Johnny Saint, tell me what I need to know about Johnny Saint, who is apparently the general manager for the NXT UK brand, which is all good. I mean, last night we also had the 3-on-3 match between the Undisputed Era and British Strong Style. British Strong Style are coming back to Destiny to take on Marty Scurll and the Young Bucks. I think. They haven't officially announced it yet, but that's a thing. So I'm going to boo the Bullet Club, I'm going to boo the Young Bucks, and that's going to be a good thing. But, I'm sorry, I'm biased. Any of you who watched me back when I was reviewing the Mae Young Classic, know I carried a huge lantern in my heart for the gorgeous Toni Storm, who did not win. Nothing against Kairi Sane, nothing against Shayna Baszler, nothing against anybody else in that tournament, really, but Toni Storm was the one, along with Piper Niven, who I really hoped the WWE would snag up. It looks like they snagged her up this time around because she won a triple threat that I've just now forgotten the other 2 competitors of. It was her, it was a girl named Killer Kelly, who we're going to see tonight, and a third participant whose name I can't remember, but she came out and she sort of looked like a vampire, sort of had that, they said she represents the goddess, which is, I guess, WWE's PG way of saying she's kind of a vampire. I mean, they don't want to bring up memories of Gangrel or Ariel or Kevin Thorne, do they? But she was really cool. I didn't... I wasn't going to come up to review just that match, but Toni Storm winning the #1 championship had been spoiled for me. I will say, you can't avoid spoilers in this day and age. I knew Toni Storm was getting this shot tonight. I didn't know how she had gotten the shot, so watching that match last night was really good. I love her move, and we're going to talk about it when the match comes up. Her move, I wish they would call it the Perfect Storm, but it's called the Storm Zero. It's basically, if you can imagine Sheamus's white noise, except instead of dropping the person white noise on the ground, it's white noise across her knee, which just looks like it would kill somebody. But first match of the night is... fuck. It's tired, it's late in the day. I feel like I start a lot of these videos these days with you guys saying, please forgive me, I'm very tired. But I also feel like anybody who's still watching my videos 7 years in is willing to forgive the fact that I'm always fucking tired. Mustache Mountain gets a tag team title shot against the Undisputed Era after their 3-on-3 victory last night, which is all good. Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, saw them recently at a Destiny show. Watching those guys live taking on... who the hell did they take on? Sami Callihan and Destiny's own Josh Alexander, who apparently made his debut in the UK for somebody. I want to say What Culture, but I don't think it is. But congratulations to him representing Canada over in the UK. It's all good. Taking on O'Reilly and it's weird watching O'Reilly and Strong come out without Adam Cole. Because there's that part in their entrance music that goes boom, and you know you've got Adam Cole that does the little thumb thing, like half of an RVD pose when the boom thing happens, and you expect right after that for the crowd to start, you know, doing the whole Adam Cole baby thing. It's kind of like an army marching without a leader, but he has his match later on in the night defending the North American Championship against Wolfgang, which we're also going to talk about later on. But Strong and Bate start the match. They exchange a lot of headlocks. Strong works the arm dropkick by Bate, double team by the Attitude Era, fuck me. Double team by the Undisputed Era, chops by Seven, and O'Reilly hits a headlock. O'Reilly hammerlocks the arm into the post, and the story continues to be Seven's arm. And it's really cool, the tag team strategy they use here, because you figure if you're going to single out one guy in a team, then you want to single out the smaller guy, which is obviously Tyler Bate. He's been in the Cruiserweight tournament, has he not? But he's shown how strong he is as well, so I don't think he can be viewed as the little guy on the team, even though nobody in this match other than Trent Seven is particularly large. Strong works the arm, chops by Seven, backsplash by Seven, and chops by Seven and Bate. Suicide baseball slide by Strong. Seven eats the apron hard, stomps by O'Reilly, grounded keylock by O'Reilly, and some mounted punches. Corner chops by Strong and knee drop by O'Reilly. O'Reilly rides a headlock for a long time. Body blows by Seven. Seven tosses O'Reilly and Strong. Drop kick by Strong. Series of high knees by O'Reilly and a DDT by Seven. The DDT by Trent Seven looks like a spike. It looks like when they used to describe Edge's DDT as the Impaler. I mean, it was sort of going with that vampire type of theme, but the Impaler was a really, really strong DDT, and so is Seven's. And like I say, Seven is a big guy to do that. Hot tag to Bate, who gets lariats and boots and strikes for everybody in the match except his partner. Exploder suplex by Bate. Running star press. There's a lot of running star presses, which I really love. I love the running star press. I'm starting to like it more than the top rope version of the move because of people like Tyler Bate, who just make it look so fucking good. Airplane spin by Bate and a sleeper by O'Reilly. O'Reilly locks a sleeper on Bate. Bate continues to walk around with this sleeper on, suplexes Strong with Bate on his back. Sorry, suplexes Strong with O'Reilly on his back, so he's backdropping one and suplexing the other in one move. Now, in the three people involved in that move, he's the smallest guy, and he's causing all the pain. That is impressive as shit. Angle slam by Strong, lariat suplex combination by Seven and Bate. Seven and Strong trade punches for a while, brainbuster by O'Reilly. Rolling boot by Bate and a suicide dive. 7-star lariat and a leg drop get the win for your new tag team champions, Mustache Mountain. Now, when you've got an entire show like tonight's, which, you know, if you look at the logo for it, is it the WWE UK Tournament and NXT? Is it the NXT UK Tournament? It's just... they called it several different things throughout the night, and even if you watched the hashtags at the beginning of the show, it was still... it was still not quite clear what they wanted you to call the show. But basically, you've got all these people from the UK competing with all the people from, I guess, original NXT or North American NXT, and they were all title matches. And you had to be very careful who you gave a title change to, because, spoiler alert, this is the only title that changes hands. I've read spoilers for past this show, so it tempers my excitement a little bit, but, you know, right now, Undisputed Era was the guys with all the gold, and now if you look at the threesome of British Strong Style, they're the ones with all the gold, and being the fact that Pete Dunne is the UK champion at the UK event, it kind of ups the ante on that one just a little bit, does it not? We get an exhibition match for the women's division. Now, this is the other thing that I forgot to mention. Triple H and Johnny Saint made a point of mentioning that NXT UK is going to be its own brand. They've already got a UK champion, but it's not only going to be for singles, it's going to be for tag team wrestling as well, and it's going to be, there's also going to be a women's division established. So we had 2 women's matches tonight. Got the title match later on. Killer Kelly versus Charlie Morgan tonight. Charlie Morgan, at some point they compared her to Peter Pan, which I don't really understand. Her ring gear's a little weird. Killer Kelly sort of has that MMA-ish feeling, not quite as obvious as somebody like a Ronda Rousey or a Shayna Baszler or even a Sonya Deville. But she's coming out, she's got the mouth guard, she's gonna fucking kick the shit out of you. Collar and elbow tie up to start. Morgan bars the arm and turns it into a wrist lock. It's reversed by Kelly, and it's reversed again by Morgan. They do this whole thing for a while. They trade off this wrist lock, arm lock situation in probably the best version, and I mean, you guys know I love this, but it's the best version of anything you can do, I can do better, that I have seen in a long time. Springboard crossbody by Morgan and a corner elbow, high knee and a torture rack, snap suplex by Kelly, boots by Kelly, who jams the knees before she locks in a dragon sleeper. She jams the knees like she's going to turn it into a surfboard, but instead she rips the head back and turns it into a sort of a combination of a a surfboard and a dragon sleeper, and just looks like she's ripping her in half, which is fucking great. It reminds me of any time back in the day when Melina was still in the WWE, because she was so damn flexible, and to a lesser extent Charlotte Flair now, or a Sasha Banks, but just every single match that they were in, somebody put them in a ridiculous submission because they could sell it, because they were flexible as hell and it looked like they were dying. Kelly bicycle kicks Morgan out of the ring, which I don't know whether that was intentional or a botch, because that's how ugly the fall was. Super kick and a springboard corkscrew senton by Morgan. Now, corkscrew senton by Morgan off the second rope. That's sort of what they called it on commentary. That's the best way I have to describe it. But also imagine Kevin Owens when he does the cannonball in the corner. If that was happening in the air, that's basically what she did. Obviously, she's a lot smaller than Kevin Owens, but the thing is the thing. German suplex by Kelly in a low corner dropkick, but a quick roll up by Charlie Morgan gets the win. So obviously Killer Kelly with the killer look on her face, pun intended. It looks like a bit of an upset, and, you know, she looks like she wants to take another shot at her, but she doesn't, because those types of shenanigans are saved for the match later on. Now, they show Johnny Saint in the back. They're asking what's the first thing he's going to do as the NXT UK general manager, and he signs a #1 contenders match to see who's going to get the next shot at the UK championship between Mark Andrews, Travis Banks, and Flash Morgan Webster. Now, Mark Andrews, I've been a big proponent of. I was a big proponent of him in the UK tournament last year. I was a big proponent of him when he did his intermediate spots in 205 Live. I think he was in the Cruiserweight Classic too, wasn't he? Maybe. Somebody correct me down below if I'm wrong. I've been a big fan of him, even though he's drastically underrated, since I saw him in TNA. Again, back in the day, dark days when I was watching TNA. Travis Banks, I'd never seen before until last night. You know, the Kiwi Buzzsaw is a neat little nickname. Now, I've said in the past, you know, you've got Peyton Royce, you've got Billy Kay, you've got Dakota Kai, you've got Buddy Murphy. I really am starting to have a liking of wrestlers, superstars, sports entertainers, whatever you want to call them, from Australia and New Zealand. I don't know what it is. There's something fun about them. And Flash Morgan Webster looks like a reject from the Beatles, but he's fun to watch, so it's all good. Now, all 3 men get announced to the ring before the match can even start. Banks is still injured from the night before because, you know, the people he was fighting last night, whose names I can't remember because I'm terrible, really took the piss out of his shoulder. He went down to Zach Gibson in the final because of that injury, and it's all wrapped up, and he's selling it the next night, and it's all good. Johnny Saint comes out to the ring, announces that it's not a triple threat match, it's actually a fatal four-way, because the fourth competitor is the fucking return of Noam Dar, who is doing everything but the old Vince McMahon inspired Alicia Fox gimmick. He's out. He gets a huge pop. This match was way too much for me to write down. Couple highlights. Webster on the apron swings around the post 619 style into a head scissor on the floor. Nice move. Dar spends most of the match targeting Banks' arm. I mean, you've got three opponents. One of them's got an obviously injured arm. That's the one you're going to go for, and that's the item you're going to go for in the match. Makes all kinds of sense. Mark Andrews, human highlight reel, you know, high flying, stage diving, whatever his gimmick is. Head scissors from the top turnbuckle. Sorry, he gets head scissored from the top turnbuckle by, I think it was Webster, and sticks the landing perfectly with a stare down to the guy that just did it, which is fucking wonderful. And his inverted Hurricane Rana is fucking insane. Super kick to Banks' injured arm after telling the story all match gets the win for Dar. So Noam Dar is your next number one contender. So we're going to get Noam Dar versus, spoiler alert, Pete Dunne sometime along the way. It's going to be good. Now, nobody in this match gets to celebrate after the match is over because they get beaten the shit out of by the Coffey brothers. One of the Coffey brothers, Joe Coffey, was in the tournament the night before. He's a big, bad, bruising son of a bitch. His brother is also presumably a big, bad, bruising son of a bitch, and they go and squash all four guys that we just watched kill each other in the ring for a title shot. So there's your little indicator, there's your little snippet, there's your little, hey, we're going to have a tag team division too. You got the Coffey brothers, you got Mustache Mountain, probably tie in Undisputed Era until that feud is over. It's a good start for the tag team division, but that's not the focus of the night. Obviously, we got another title match to talk about. Wolfgang taking on Adam Cole. Now, I've said this a lot, and I'm going to say it again. As much as Tony Storm I thought was underutilized during and after the women's tournament, the UK tournament last year, one of the guys that I found most fun to watch, one of the guys that I wish they had used more in NXT after the fact, was Wolfgang. Big guy, shouldn't be able to move around like he does, and Adam Cole is Adam Cole, baby. Now, I've been saying it for a while, Adam Cole is this generation's Shawn Michaels. They actually made a point in commentary of saying how much Adam Cole says Shawn Michaels has influenced his career and his style and some of the things that he has done in his career and life and etc. But then Nigel McGuinness made an excellent point. He says, is there anybody currently wrestling that wasn't at least a little inspired by Shawn Michaels? It's all good. And this is for the NXT North American Championship, which is, if you make it into an acronym, is the TNA Championship, which is good, which is one step away from being the TNA X Division Championship. But let's just not go there, because let's just not. Chain wrestling to start, and I forgot to mention, they tied this into, like, a year ago, Wolfgang happened to be on NXT, and Undisputed Era beat the crap out of him. Apparently he's been waiting this long to get his revenge, so he's fighting Adam Cole. Sure, you want to write that story, you want to pull that thread, I think I can handle it, because I like both of these guys, and I like that they're fighting each other. Chain wrestling to start, in a headlock by Cole, forearm by Wolfgang, and a neckbreaker by Cole, and a mudhole stomp, twisting neckbreaker by Cole, gutbuster by Wolfgang, and his gutbuster is basically, a modified codebreaker to the gut. It's just bad. The dude is big, and he shouldn't be able to pull off some of the shit that he pulls off. Crossface shots by Wolfgang and a series of front slams. Just slam after slam after slam. It's good. Enziguri by Cole. Another gutbuster by Wolfgang, because Adam Cole doesn't really need his internal organs. He just doesn't. Body shots in the corner by Wolfgang and an Irish whip by the Irishman. Always wanted to say that. Corner cross body by Wolfgang and a super kick by Cole. Forearms by Cole, lariats and a back elbow. Backstabber by Cole. Enziguri, Ushigoroshi, just because I like saying it. Wasteland by Wolfgang, and 4 boots by Cole do not take Wolfgang off his feet. Wolfgang hits a swanton, but it's blocked by the knees by Adam Cole. Now, 2 things there. Wolfgang's a big dude, should not be pulling off a swanton, but since he is pulling off a swanton, that much weight coming down on the knees of Adam Cole, yes, it's a great way to block the swanton, and it probably hurt a lot if you're Wolfgang, but it probably hurts a lot if you're Adam Cole as well. But a second Ushigoroshi by Cole, and he hits the last shot for the win. Adam Cole defends the NXT North American Championship. Baby. Now, Here's the only thing I can say. This is the only match that has no UK influence whatsoever, and it's kind of weird, it's kind of random, and it kind of all circulates around the only title that's not being defended tonight, which is obviously the UK Championship. We got Velveteen Dream and EC3 versus, I keep wanting to say Tyler Black, and that's bad because I'm not an ROH fan, Aleister Black and Ricochet. Now, most of this match they spend talking about the Velveteen Dream and Ricochet and the match they had at TakeOver. Rightfully so. EC3 wasn't even on the show. Aleister Black's the champion, so that sells itself. The great thing about this is when the match starts, you got Dream and Velveteen, because I'm an idiot. You got Ricochet and Dream in the match, and Velveteen Dream says, I don't want you, I want the champ. Rips off his shirt. He's got a shredded Aleister Black shirt on underneath and tosses that at him. Mind games, and away we go. Finally, the match actually starts with Black and EC3, collar and elbow tie up, and a heavy arm drag by Black. Black bails, head scissor, drop kick by Ricochet. Sorry, head scissor and a drop kick by Ricochet. Trip on the apron by EC3 and an armbar by Ricochet. Dream teases an elbow, which has the entire crowd on their feet, but then thinks, nah, and there's a super kick, sorry, a suplex by EC3, followed, I cannot read my fucking writing. Super kick by EC3, followed by a key lock, drop kick by Ricochet, double team by EC3 and the Dream, spin kick and a neckbreaker by Ricochet, trip and a running knee by Black, springboard moonsault, spinebuster by Dream, lariat by EC3. Everybody gets in the ring. Everybody kicks everybody at least once. Twisting suicide dive by Ricochet, followed by a lariat, followed by a rolling driver by Dream, and a running star press by Ricochet. There it is once again. And is there any wrestler more fluid than Ricochet? No. So let's have him do a running star press. Dream bails on EC3 because he's injured. And this is where I go back to comparing EC3 to somebody like The Miz. The Miz is one of those guys that can go out there and be absolutely the most arrogant fucking prick in the world, but then you can imagine what happened if he's out there being the most arrogant prick in the world and suddenly Brock Lesnar shows up behind him. He can have that, oh fuck, I'm gonna die face. EC3 is left in the ring, all on his own. Ricochet's on the outside, but Aleister Black is standing behind him. The whole crowd, in unison, right at the right moment. Look behind you, look behind you, look behind you. Obviously, Black Mass, Black and Ricochet get the win. Now, after the match, the referee goes to get Aleister Black his championship. Ricochet takes the championship from him to hand him the belt in a show of respect. The commentators plant a nice little seed, though. Is it a sign of respect, or is it a message for later on down the line? I really, really like that. Ricochet versus Aleister Black. Let's do it. Ricochet versus Aleister Black versus Velveteen Dream. Let's do it. Ricochet versus Aleister Black versus Velveteen Dream versus EC3. Let's fucking do it. That's all I gotta say about that. Great match. Like I say, kind of random, no build, no real reason for it to happen other than it was there. But yeah, Toni Storm. My heart stops for Toni Storm as she takes on Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship, and it's really good. They talk about the history that they have, that they fought in Japan, that, you know, Toni Storm came up really short in the Mae Young Classic, etc. But basically, Baszler knows me, Baszler knows what I can do. It's good. Front face lock by Storm to start, and a headlock by Baszler and a takedown. Figure 4 headlock by Storm, side headlock by Baszler, headlock, takedown by Storm. And like the other match before, when each one worked the other one's arm, each one worked the other one's arm, this one, it's headlocks, and side headlocks, and front headlocks, and how many different headlocks can we go? Anything you can do, I can do better. It's fucking great. But it's all stopped by Baszler, but with a trip, and then a boot by Storm. Suicide dive by Storm is fucking pretty. They trade punches on the outside, chops by Storm, and a takedown by Baszler, and a chop block, which starts the work on the knee. Corner high knee by Baszler, it's a mounted puncher. Baszler works the knee, works the shin, works the ankle, works everything, works it in the ropes, drags her around, hits the leg off the post. Everything becomes about the leg. It's great. Trip and a takedown and a back suplex by Storm and a hip attack. They do a really good job of covering that on commentary because it's like, okay, desperation gave her adrenaline. Adrenaline is allowing to ignore the pain in the leg that's been caused by Shayna Baszler. It's all fucking good. Baszler works the knee, shin, and ankle some more. Waistlock superplex by Baszler, which is a good little thing. Mounted punches, knee bar by Baszler, headbutt by Storm, and she does in fact hit the Storm Zero, which I really wish had been the end. And I really wish the end of this match hadn't been spoiled for me, because I might have actually believed that that was the end. High knee by Baszler, Karafuda clutch by Baszler, Karafuda clutch again on the outside until she chokes her out, hops back in the ring, and enjoys the fuck out of that 10 count like a heel should. Baszler retains her NXT Women's Championship by countout because Toni Storm is out as fuck on the outside of the ring. Brings her back into the ring. Sort of does a driver into another Karafuda clutch, holds it on just a little bit longer until the referee tells her to fuck off, and walks off as the winner. This is a story of two halves, because on the one hand, you've got Toni Storm, who was realistically portrayed to be, you know, her greatest challenger to date, which is great, because obviously you're going to start this new women's division for the UK ladies. You want them to look good. It's all good. She did. She looked great. She looked like she could have beaten Baszler convincingly in this match. But then she loses by countout, which is, on one hand, it's really appropriate because of the way and the type of physical monster they portray Shayna Baszler as. On the other hand, for me, as somebody who is a very, very new, very, very big fan of what I've seen so far from Toni Storm, I would almost say knock her out in the ring, rather than her being chucked out on the outside, because it's sort of like, it's that afterthought effect, you know, get out of my ring type thing. It's a little too much, but Toni Storm, and it didn't even feel that long either, but this was a great outing. This was better than Ember Moon. I'm sorry, in my opinion it was. This is obviously better than the story that they have going with Dakota Kai. I would put this on par with the story that she has going on right now with Nikki Cross, only because there's a story and a psychology and a story thread throughout for that, whereas this is just, as far as I can tell, a one-off match. Now, if you tell me at the next TakeOver that we are going to get Shayna Baszler versus Toni Storm versus Nikki Cross, I'm going to tell you, it might as well be the fucking main event. That's just my personal opinion. Pete Dunne versus Zach Gibson. Speaking of main events, this is Zach Gibson's #1 title shot he earned last night at the UK title, currently held by Pete Dunne. I love the British stuff. Like, what I love so much, and I've said it so much, I've said it specifically about Pete Dunne, not only in my NXT reviews, but obviously talking to you guys about the shows I've been to at Destiny. As soon as it breaks down, as soon as it's no longer a striking, as soon as it's no longer a grappling, you get into that joint manipulation, it just, the, you know, work from the arms, from the shoulder to the elbow to the arm to the wrist to the fingers. You know, in some of the other matches we've talked about tonight, it was with the leg, the knee, the shin, the ankle, the toes, the foot. There's something about it that is so simple that it translates better on TV than a fucking shooting star press. Because I don't think very many of us have experienced what it feels like to either give or receive a shooting star press, but every single one of us can identify with what it's like to twist your ankle, stub your toe, catch your hand in a door, bend your thumb back, or do something like that. The simplicity of it is why it works. Is the best way I can say it, or at least that's what I think. Anyway, collar and elbow tie up by Dunn, and he works the arm and the wrist right away. Takedown by Dunn, manipulating the fingers. Gibson rakes the face, side headlock and a lariat by Dunn. Running kick to the bad arm by Dunn. Immediately T-bone suplex by Gibson, working Dunn's fingers. Anything you can do, I can do better. I love it. So much of that tonight. And as again, it's so simple. You punch me in the face, I'm gonna want to punch you in the face. You try to break my fingers, I swear to God, I'm going to break your fingers. It's going to be good. Roundhouse by Dunn and a Kimura. Double stomp, moonsault DDT on the outside by Dunn. The moonsault DDT by Dunn, I will say, it's not as good looking as it was when AJ Styles used to do it as part of his repertoire in TNA. It's not, but it's still fucking great, because look at the size and the strength of a guy like Pete Dunne. Dunn eats the steps on the outside, but then hits an X-Plex on the floor on Gibson. Dunn goes back to the fingers once again as a distraction, pretty much. German suplex and hits the bitter end. Codebreaker by Gibson, who locks on the Shankly Gates. Now, last night, they explained to me what Shankly Gates are. It's some building, or it's some sports facility in the UK that has some incredible historic meaning that I'm never going to understand because I'm not from the UK. To try to explain it to you, it's basically putting somebody in the same position as you would for something like the Steiner recliner, except you're not holding both of their arms in their head, you're holding one of their arms in sort of a downward key lock. It looks pretty fucking painful. It looks like it twists the fuck out of you. It looks like a painful maneuver. That's all I really need to know. Top rope twisting neckbreaker and another Shankly Gates. Slaps by Dunn, or sorry, slaps to the face by Gibson to Dunn. I'm sorry, my writing sucks, it's late in the day. Because Dunn is literally out in the corner. His head is leaning on the bottom rope, he's out. He's taken some slaps to the face, he's taken some boots to the face that are so expertly commentated on by somebody like Nigel McGuinness, because Nigel McGuinness can get you into the nitty-gritty. On the one hand, here's the super technical. On the other hand, here he's just smushing his face. Now, the last time he goes to slap him, Dunn snaps his finger, hits him with a forearm, hits him with the bitter end, and Pete Dunne, your bruiserweight, your WWE United Kingdom champion, still. Now, what they did at the end of this was kind of what they did, once again, I go back to something like the Mae Young Classic, where Triple H was out on the stageway with all the women that are about to compete in the tournament, which is good. He came out, you know, you've got Mustache Mountain with their new titles, you've got the women that have competed tonight, you've got the other, their dudes that have competed tonight, basically all the NXT UK roster, and he does the whole, this is your roster, this is your brand, this is your new general manager, Johnny Saint, hey, NXT UK, are you ready? Now that is a great sort of propel us forward, propel us into the future, get us excited about this new brand thing to do. That is a great, positive, optimistic way to end the show. But what I would have loved so much, what would have done great storyline wise, so much for that title. End of the match, Pete Dunne gets to have his little second of posing and celebrating and all that sort of thing, get his hand raised, get announced as the winner, and then you end the show, you should have ended the show on a stare down between Pete Dunne and Noam Dar. Tell us when that's happening, make us look forward to that, and then maybe if Triple H wants to voice over after that with everybody else standing on the stage, that would have been great. Minor nitpick. This was a fun as fuck show. Even the random NXT tag match with the champion and all the people that want to be champions. The tag team title match was great. The exhibition match with a couple of the other ladies from the division was great. Toni Storm looked fantastic against Baszler, even in defeat. Got to see Wolfgang again, which is kind of cool, which is really cool. Noam Dar's back. I don't know what else to say. This was a lot of fun. I know I don't sound very excited because I'm losing my voice, and as I say, I'm tired. It's been a long time since I've reviewed a show that is this long. This is one of the many reasons I don't review Raw anymore, along with the fact that Raw kind of sucks. This is a lot of fun. If this is any indication of what the NXT UK brand is going to be like, then you better damn well bet that I'm going to be up here reviewing the NXT UK shows. That's about it. That's about all. Toss it down in the box below if you have other thoughts about this show, if you watch this show. I unfortunately had to tape this while I was at work, and hence some of the reason why this is only going up. Now, all of my friends, and like I say, James, Fear the Spirit 1990, I'm specifically looking at you, but anybody watching these videos in the UK who wants to give me any insight whatsoever on any of the UK talent that we saw tonight, last night, etc., please do not hesitate. Throw it down in the box below. If you like this video and you think somebody else might like it too, go ahead, share it around. We're getting up there. Subs aren't where I want them to be, but that is another story for another day. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now I am tagging out. Bye, guys.